Welcome to your deep dive on Bhutan.
You've provided us with a fascinating mix of sources for this one.
Excerpts from the CIA World Factbook
Okay.
and its Bhutan page on Wikipedia.
Right.
So it seems like you're really after a well-rounded view of this Himalayan kingdom.
Everything from its history and geography to its very unique culture and economy.
Yeah.
Where do we even begin with a country like Bhutan?
What jumped out at you from these materials?
Well, I think Bhutan really challenges our preconceptions of what a country can even be.
Okay.
It's known as the land of the thunder dragon,
Right.
which I think hints at the mystique surrounding this nation.
Yeah.
And what I find fascinating is how this landlocked, mountainous country nestled between China and India
Right.
has really managed to preserve its very unique culture and environment while also modernizing.
Right. And the sources even mention Bhutan being carbon negative.
Yes.
Which is practically unheard of today.
Precisely. And that ties directly into their gross national happiness philosophy,
Yeah.
which prioritizes well-being over just pure economic growth.
Interesting.
And we'll delve deeper into that a little bit later.
Okay.
But this balance that they've achieved makes Bhutan a really captivating case study, I think.
Absolutely. Well, let's unpack that a little bit. You mentioned Bhutan being landlocked and very mountainous.
Yes.
How has that impacted its history?
Well, I think fundamentally,
Okay.
both the CIA fact book and Wikipedia really emphasize how Bhutan's mountainous terrain has really shaped everything,
Wow.
from its infrastructure to its cultural development.
Okay.
Think about it. Being nestled in the Himalayas like that, you have very limited access to trade routes,
Right.
a naturally isolated population.
Sure.
It leads to some very unique developmental challenges.
So geographically, not the easiest place to thrive. But hasn't this isolation also benefited them in a way?
Absolutely.
Mm.
That geographic isolation allowed Bhutan to develop this really distinct identity
Okay.
that's so closely intertwined with Tibet and Buddhism.
Buddhism arrives in the 7th century. Right.
Bhutan's unification under Tibetan Lama Ngawang Namgyal in the 17th century.
All of these events were possible in many ways because of Bhutan's location.
It's like a fortress, geographically and culturally, but they weren't completely cut off.
Right.
There's mention of a treaty with the British.
Yes, the Treaty of Punakha in 1910.
Okay.
This is where things get kind of interesting regarding Bhutan's relationship with India.
Okay.
This treaty essentially made Bhutan a British protectorate,
I see.
and while it maintained its internal autonomy,
Its foreign relations were largely guided by the British.
and after India's independence, did that dynamic continue?
It did.
The sources note that Bhutan and India actually renegotiated that treaty in 2007.
Giving Bhutan a lot more control over its own foreign policy.
Okay.
However, India remains Bhutan's closest ally.
And their relationship is absolutely crucial to understanding Bhutan's place in the world today.
So geographically and historically, Bhutan has had to walk a very fine line
Yeah.
between, frankly, some very powerful neighbors. Powerful neighbors, yeah.
They've done it remarkably well. It really speaks to, I think, Bhutanese diplomacy.
And their underlying philosophy of balance, which we see in many aspects of their society.
Speaking of balance, let's talk about the Land of the Thunder Dragon nickname.
Yes.
The sources highlight Bhutan's commitment to conservation.
60% forest cover.
Protected areas.
Biological corridors, that's incredible.
It is, and it's not just about these stunning landscapes either.
Right.
Bhutan's environmental protection is very deeply rooted in Buddhist beliefs.
Okay.
And this understanding that people's well-being is intrinsically linked to nature's well-being.
And this is where their very unique approach to development comes in, right?
Exactly.
This whole concept of gross national happiness.
Exactly. Bhutan is one of the few countries that actually prioritizes gross national happiness, or GNH, over GDP.
Okay.
It's about finding that balance between economic growth, preserving their culture, the environment,
And its citizens' spiritual well-being.
a very holistic approach.
So what does gross national happiness actually look like in practice?
Is there more to it than, protecting the environment?
It goes much, much deeper.
Okay.
It touches upon good governance, sustainable socioeconomic development.
Preserving and promoting their unique culture, and of course, environmental conservation.
These four pillars are all seen as interconnected and equally important for achieving overall happiness.
So it's a more well-rounded way to measure a country's progress.
Yeah.
Not just, how's the economics, but how content are its people.
Precisely.
And it's something other countries are starting to really take notice of, especially as we face all these global challenges like climate change and social inequality.
Sure.
Bhutan, in many ways, has been ahead of the curve on this for decades.
It really makes you wonder, with this focus on gross national happiness,
Is Bhutan a model for the future?
or is it clinging to a fading past?
That's worth considering.
I think to really understand that, we need to dive into Bhutan's modern society,
Okay.
their economy.
And the challenges that they face.
Okay.
Why don't we start with this fascinating transition from an absolute monarchy to a constitutional monarchy?
Yeah, they held their first democratic elections in 2008.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
Big changes for a country with such a long history of monarchy.
Huge.
And not without its challenges, as you can imagine.
Right.
Shifting to a constitutional monarchy and a parliamentary system was a significant move toward modernization.
But it also raised all these questions about balancing these new democratic ideals with Bhutan's traditional values.
That word again,
Yeah.
balance.
Right.
It seems like a recurring theme in Bhutan's story.
Absolutely. And this balancing act is especially apparent in their approach to cultural preservation as well.
Okay.
The sources mention Dzongkha, their national language,
The national dress of the Go and Kira.
this emphasis on traditional arts and festivals.
All of these play a really important role in maintaining that Bhutanese identity.
But they also have TV and the internet now.
Right, yeah.
It's not like they're living in a time capsule.
Of course not. And that's where the king, Jigme Azar Namgyel Wangchuck, has played a very, very key role.
Okay.
He's recognized the importance of modernization.
But he's also been a very, very strong advocate for preserving Bhutan's unique cultural heritage.
It's about finding ways to integrate these seemingly opposing forces.
Okay, I'm starting to get a sense of this very delicate dance they're doing between the old and the new.
But let's shift gears a bit and talk about Bhutan's economy.
Okay.
The sources paint a picture that's a little more complicated.
Then just the Shangri-La image that we so often see.
Right. The reality is Bhutan faces some very significant economic challenges.
Okay.
Agriculture still dominates,
Employing over half the population.
and it's largely subsistence farming.
And the country's mountainous terrain, again, makes large-scale agricultural development very difficult.
So where does Bhutan get its economic juice from?
How are they funding things like education and healthcare?
One word: hydropower.
Okay.
Bhutan is incredibly rich in water resources.
And they've leveraged that to become a major exporter of hydroelectricity.
Primarily to India.
This has been a huge boost to their economy,
Right.
accounting for a significant portion of their GDP.
It's like turning their geography into an economic advantage.
Precisely. And it aligns with their sustainable development goals.
Since hydropower is clean and renewable.
But it also makes them very heavily reliant on India as a trading partner,
Right.
which can be both a blessing and a curse.
Right. Vulnerable to fluctuations in the Indian market. What about tourism?
Sources mention it's very carefully managed in Bhutan.
Yes, very deliberately.
Okay.
Bhutan adopted what they call a high-value, low-impact approach to tourism.
Meaning they have a relatively high daily tariff for visitors.
I see.
This helps control tourist numbers, and it minimizes the environmental impact.
So they're not trying to become the next mass tourism destination.
Not at all.
They're focused on attracting travelers who are genuinely interested in experiencing Bhutan's unique culture and environment.
And are willing to pay a premium for that privilege.
A conscious decision to prioritize quality over quantity.
Yes.
But even with hydropower and tourism,
Mm-hmm.
Bhutan still faces a lot of developmental hurdles, right?
True.
Infrastructure remains a major challenge, particularly in remote areas.
Limited trade routes, a small domestic market, and a shortage of skilled labor.
Or also issues that they have to address.
It sounds like Bhutan is walking a tightrope economically.
Just like culturally and politically.
That's a great way to put it.
And this brings us to what might be considered the elephant in the room when you talk about Bhutan.
Okay.
The Lhotshampa people.
Right. The sources touch on this ethnic tension within Bhutan.
It seems like a very sensitive topic.
It is.
The Lhotshampa are an ethnic Nepalese group.
Who have historically resided in southern Bhutan.
They faced, frankly, discrimination and marginalization.
And in the 1990s, tens of thousands were forced to flee Bhutan, becoming refugees in Nepal.
This was when Bhutan was promoting the One Nation, One People policy, right?
Yep.
This policy while aimed at strengthening national unity.
was seen by many Lhotshampa as suppressing their culture and identity.
It was a very controversial period.
And those forced expulsions led to international criticism of Bhutan's human rights record.
So how is this issue being addressed today?
It's still ongoing, unfortunately.
Well, some Lhotshampa have been resettled in other countries.
A significant number still remain in refugee camps.
Bhutan has been very reluctant to grant them citizenship.
And the issue continues to be a source of tension both within Bhutan
And in its relations with Nepal.
It's a stark reminder that even a country known for its peacefulness and pursuit of happiness can have these internal conflicts.
And a very difficult history.
That's an important point. Bhutan's story is very complex.
And understanding it requires looking beyond the surface, grappling with its challenges.
And its successes.
That's true for any country, really.
It makes you appreciate how nuanced and multifaceted a nation's story can be.
But before we wrap up, I have to ask about some of the more intriguing details from the sources.
Okay.
Like the king having 4 wives.
That's not something you see every day.
It certainly isn't.
But it's important to remember that polygamy, while uncommon,
Is culturally accepted in Bhutan.
and it often served as a way to keep property within a family unit,
In this case, all 4 wives were sisters.
which is also not unheard of.
And what about the national sport of archery?
I read it's a huge social event with lots of food, singing, and even a bit of trash talking.
Yes.
Archery is very deeply ingrained in Bhutanese culture
It's not just a sport, it's a way to bring people together.
and celebrate their heritage.
And the trash talking is all part of the fun.
It adds a little bit of playful rivalry to the competition,
I even read that there's a ban on tobacco in Bhutan,
which is pretty remarkable.
considering how widespread smoking is in many parts of the world.
It is.
And it really speaks to their commitment to public health and well-being.
Of course, no policies without its challenges.
There have been issues with smuggling and black market sales of tobacco.
But Bhutan's willingness to take such bold steps to protect its citizens is certainly noteworthy.
It seems like every aspect of Bhutan we uncover just reveals another layer of complexity.
We've talked about their unique approach to environmental and economic development.
Right.
What about their political landscape?
The sources mentioned a transition to a constitutional monarchy.
Yeah.
What does that actually look like in practice?
You're right. It is a fascinating blend of the traditional and the modern.
Bhutan transitioned to a constitutional monarchy in 2008
Okay.
with their first democratic elections.
Right.
And this marked a really significant shift from absolute monarchy.
Introducing a parliamentary system where the king's power is actually limited by a constitution.
Yeah, a big change.
How did this shift to a more democratic system go over with the Bhutanese people?
Well, the sources suggest it was largely welcomed,
Okay.
though not without its share of challenges, of course.
Right.
There were, and I think still are, these ongoing discussions about how to balance these newer democratic ideals.
With Bhutan's very deeply ingrained cultural values and traditions.
Yeah.
Remember, this is a country
Right.
where respect for authority, and particularly the monarchy, is very, very deeply rooted.
So how does the king, Jigme Khazar Namgyal Wangchuck, factor into this new system?
He remains a hugely important figure,
Right.
even with this diminished political power.
Right.
The sources portray him as kind of a modernizing force, advocating for things like education
Sustainable development.
and, of course, gross national happiness.
Right.
However, he's also a staunch guardian of Bhutanese traditions and culture.
It's a very, very delicate balancing act.
And speaking of balancing acts, let's circle back to the Lhotshampa issue.
Okay.
It feels particularly jarring, frankly, given Bhutan's reputation for peace and happiness.
What's the current state of affairs with the Lhotshampa people?
It remains a very complex and sensitive issue.
While some Lhotshampa have been resettled in other countries,
Right.
many remain in refugee camps in Nepal.
Hoping to return to Bhutan.
What's preventing their return? Is it solely a matter of citizenship?
Or are there deeper issues at play?
It's multifaceted.
Okay.
While Bhutan has made some concessions regarding repatriation,
The process has been very slow.
and it's fraught with complications.
There are concerns about integrating a large number of people who have been culturally distinct for decades now.
Sure.
And some people argue that Bhutan's limited resources and infrastructure,
Simply can't handle a large influx of returnees.
so it's kind of a stalemate then.
Not necessarily.
There are ongoing dialogues between Bhutan and Nepal,
Right.
and international organizations are involved in trying to find some kind of solution.
However, it's essential to recognize the very deep emotional scars that this issue has left,
Both on the Lhotshampa people.
and on Bhutanese society as a whole.
This deep dive has definitely been an eye-opener.
We've uncovered a nation grappling with, frankly, some really big questions.
Modernization versus tradition.
Yeah,
Economic development versus environmental protection.
right.
And national unity versus ethnic diversity.
It seems like finding that right balance is an ongoing challenge for Bhutan.
It is.
And while the sources don't provide any easy answers,
They offer a really fascinating window into the complexities of a nation.
that's really trying to define its own path.
Bhutan's story reminds us that progress isn't always linear.
And that even with the best of intentions,
There will be bumps along the way.
it's definitely challenged, I think, a lot of my preconceived notions about Bhutan.
It's so much more than just a happy country.
It's a nation grappling with very real-world issues.
In a way that's both inspiring and thought-provoking.
It certainly makes you think about what a country's priorities should be, right?
Right.
Is it about maximizing economic growth at all costs?
Or is there a better way?
A more holistic approach, like Bhutan's pursuit of gross national happiness.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
And with all that we've learned about Bhutan today, about its history, its culture, its challenges, and its aspirations,
It seems like they're determined to find their own answer. It really is.
and their journey is a powerful reminder, I think.
That there's no one-size-fits-all model for success.
Right.
And that true progress often involves navigating some very, very complex trade-offs.
Precisely.
Bhutan's story really encourages us to question a lot of our assumptions.
To look beyond, those simplistic narratives that we often tell ourselves.
Right.
And to really engage with the world's complexities.
This deep dive has given me so much to think about, honestly.
From, the towering Himalayas.
To this very intricate dance between tradition and modernity.
Bhutan really is a land of contrasts.
And it's clear that their commitment to gross national happiness
Right.
isn't about, creating some sort of utopia.
Right.
It's about forging a really unique path.
That prioritizes the well-being of both their people and the planet.
And that's what makes Bhutan so fascinating.
Their story isn't a fairy tale.
Right.
It's a real-world example.
Of a nation grappling with very real-world challenges.
And in doing so, I think offering some really valuable lessons for all of us. I think so, too.
Perhaps their journey will even inspire us to ask ourselves,
What does progress truly mean?
and how can we create societies that really prioritize well-being in all its forms?
Those are some really big questions to ponder.
But as we wrap up this deep dive into the heart of Bhutan,
I want to thank you for guiding us through these fascinating sources and sharing your insights.
it's been my pleasure.
It's always so rewarding to delve into a topic as rich and thought-provoking as Bhutan,
And to all of you listening, we hope this deep dive has really sparked your curiosity.
and provided you with a more nuanced understanding of this incredible Himalayan kingdom.
Until next time, keep exploring
Good question.
and keep diving deep.